My favorite Shakespearean play is Macbeth, and I can't explain why. I think we all like to see an evil person or a person gone bad get what they deserve. Even though Shakespeare has survived for all this time, for some people it's hard to get into it. That's why I wanted to talk about a book that I had recently read, a novelization and re-imaging, Macbeth by Jo Nesbo. Heard of Jo Nesbo. I see his books all the time because I still volunteer at the library, but I have never read any books by this author until this one. This was a book that I requested to get from First to Read, crossed my fingers that I got it. Unfortunately, by the time I realized that there were digital galleys available, the copies that were available for guarantee were gone, so I had to enter and just hope that I got it, and I did. I was very impressed. It's one thing to do a play, maybe put your own spin on it, work your way through your interpretation. It's one thing to make a movie, maybe try to re-image it a little bit, but something about making an entire novel and a whole different world and keeping it modern, it could be difficult to work through Shakespeare in that way. I was very impressed with this. Now, what I did not know is that this was part of a bigger project. The publishers of this book, Hogarth, I think, is actually working on adapting a whole bunch of Shakespeare's plays, and they picked some very well-known authors. As a matter of fact, there was a book I read, I don't know if it was last year or 2 years ago, my years run together, but I read Hagseed by Margaret Atwood, and that was part of this Hogarth project. Back to Macbeth. I did not see any dates on this, but another reviewer said it took place in the 70s. I didn't get a sense of a date on it. It seemed more modern than the 70s, but I'm not sure. This is the story of a corrupt police force, corrupt politics. That's where we get Macbeth in this story. He starts off as a good guy, which I never bought into because I feel like if you were truly good, there's no way you can just flip the script and become that evil. But he starts out in, I think he's SWAT, he has ambitions, and of course, if you've read Macbeth, I don't feel like I can spoil something that's hundreds of years old, but still, since it's a new, why am I doing this? I do this every video. Flap, flap, flap. In this re-imaging, he is not married, so there isn't a Lady Macbeth. Instead, she's just Lady. That's her name, Lady. And, you know, she has her own history. She actually runs a very high-class brothel. It's not called a brothel, but there's things going on. But she has a nice casino going on, and they're lovers. She just starts putting little whispers in her ear. That's all it takes for him to get these ambitions, feeling the need that he needs to kill this person, to work his way up, and then the paranoia stops. Despite the fact that the world that is built is extremely different from the world that's built in Macbeth. Jo Nesbo really did find ways to work all these elements into this novel, which is why I'm impressed, because some things don't translate well. I really do believe he did a good job. I'm not an elitist when it comes to Shakespeare, so I'm not the kind of person that's gonna set myself on fire every time someone tries to change something. I was very open-minded when I read this, and like I said, this is my favorite Shakespeare play. I loved it. I don't know if it was just the way my mind is working, but there were certain feelings I had that were different from the feelings I have whenever I read the play. Whenever I read the play, even though I know that Macbeth needs to go, there was a part of me that had a slight bit of sympathy for him because I felt that he was purposely read the wrong way. And even though I knew Macduff, who is called just simply Duff in the novel, needed to do what he had to do, I kind of didn't want him to win, but I kind of did. I had a little bit of sympathy for Macbeth because I felt like he was doomed from the start. Of course, it's a tragedy. But in this novelization, I had zero sympathy for Macbeth. So in reading the book, it almost seemed as though he turned way too fast. Like he was just waiting for someone to say, you need to kill someone. Very conniving. He's using everybody as a tool. He gets paranoid. He doesn't know who's friend or foe. In the original play, play, I saw Lady Macbeth as an antagonist. I felt that she was one of the evil forces in his life. I wonder if she wasn't there, if she didn't exist, and then these prophecies were there, would it be a tragedy? Would he have gone as far as he did? I could care less about her. I'm like, go kill yourself, which she does, and I'm like, good. I know that sounds horrible, but I just saw her as evil, and I always will see her as evil reading the play. However, for some reason, in reading this novelization, as I said, I had suddenly had no sympathy for Macbeth the way I did reading the play, but reading this novelization, instead of hating Lady, I didn't like her, but I don't know if it's sympathy, but I did not see her as evil as I did reading the play. I saw her as more of a human being that just couldn't handle her guilt. I feel like I don't want to say too much because it's a re-imaging. I don't want to give too much away. But at the same time, if you know anything about Macbeth, if you've seen a film adaptation, you know what happens. Like I said, I'm impressed. I thought he did a very good job. The elements were there. There were a couple times where I kept thinking, okay, well, how is this going to fit in? And then I see it come in. I'm like, oh, okay, I see how he did that. Okay. I thought it was a clever modernization. And now that I've read 2 books out of this series, if I stop burying myself with advanced galleys, I plan to go back and get New Boy. Othello's a trip. Excuse me. That's what happens when I talk too much. But the point is, this would be the book that I recommend to people who can't read Shakespeare. It's not that I'm saying that people who like Shakespeare can't read it, but I feel like this would be a way to hand this off to someone who couldn't read it or couldn't stand it in high school. It still has all the elements and emotion that made this play. It's just a different way to look at things, and that's why I would recommend it. I think, You think I'm dirty? You just giving me a kiss? What's going on over here? I don't think I have much to say, and I gotta be careful because this computer's been acting crazy. I really don't think I need to sit here and explain the entire plot of Macbeth to you, and I really don't want to give too much away because I really would like you to experience it for yourself, the world building. That's why I was kind of sketchy and just said, I like it, which I do. I hope that someone who watches this video is kind of intrigued and goes goes to look for Macbeth by Jo Nesbo and possibly some of the other adaptions. I'll put a link to Goodreads that shows all the ones that have been done so far. That's it. I said that's it like 10,000 times. Okay. Well, I hope you have a wonderful day and happy reading.